Hello and welcome to Active and Healthy with Gina, the show to promote healthy aging for our seniors. So I hope that you are seated comfortably at home. I hope that you have got off your sofa because you want a nice firm chair with firm legs. You want to be able to sit up straight. Ideally, you want to be able to be barefoot. If it's too cold, it's okay to have slippers, but absolutely no need for shoes. And we're going to do some exercises today. It's going to be only 10 minutes, so I want you to join me as soon as the music starts. We're going to start working on our joints this morning. So let's get going. So just get these feet, little gentle movements, and you always move within your body's motion, your body's range, whatever's comfortable for you. Maybe you've got a hip problem, knee problem, shoulder problem. So this is just to get these joints nice and eased up. So we're just moving these shoulders, same time as we do the legs, getting everything going together. All right, so up onto the toes, drop the heels, hands or the shoulders. We're just going out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. Nothing too difficult. Anybody can do this. Maybe you've got a grandchild sitting beside you. They can do it too. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, these exercises are easy enough for anybody. And in and out. A little quicker. Push. Just got to keep everything moving. All right, we're just going to roll the hands in a circle and just a slower drop with the heels. And a big circle. So we're doing more movement with the shoulders. And done 4 forward, let's take 4 back. And back the other way. Keep tapping these heels as well. Coordination, tough for all of us because we're thinking how many different things we move at once. Arms here, up and down, up and down, up, down. Now we're going to take one hand and one leg in and out. Out to the side and back. Out and back. So you're going to have room to be able to stretch out your hands, stretch out your legs. In and out. And if you're on the other side as well, we're going to be able to balance up the body. Keep going till the next song starts. Just making sure we're balanced on both sides. Lovely. Okay, the next one's going to be working on stretching out our spine. So we're going to have the hands here. Ooh, I think we're going to work on our legs first. Sounds a little bit slow for the spine, so I'm going to make us work these hips, knees, and feet with a little kick out in front of us. So kick, 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 and point to the opposite toe. Every time we work across the body, we're working right, left brain, which is good for our brains as well. This is why this is a brain health fitness program. And kick to the corner, out, out, kick, 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 and kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it, kick it. Back to the center for a little march. And we're going to now tap and go side to side to side. We just want, imagine you're drawing a little rainbow in the air. Side, 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 side. Just little ones. And let's change sides, change legs. Tap, up and over. So we're just drawing a little rainbow. Maybe you're showing off to somebody and you reckon your leg can go, oh, a little higher. Maybe not. Little taps, tap, tap, tap. And we're going to take one leg out and just cross it in front of the other. A bit quicker with the music. Makes this hip work a little harder. In and out. In and out. Change sides. Cross in front. So one leg should be closer to you. But find your speed. Okay to do it slower. If that's too fast, you can take it slower. But this is only 10 minutes. 10 minutes of these exercises every single day. You won't believe how much better you can feel. Keep going till the music stops. No excuses. Very good. Okay, I think the next one might be slower, in which case perfect for the spine. So let's have hands out in front of us. We're just going to stretch out as if we're reaching across a table, a high table. So stretch these arms. Bring the shoulder blades back together. Out and back. Lovely. Out and back. You can rock back a little on your heels. Makes you be working on your clenching your core at the same time. Last one. Taking the hands here. And we're sliding to the side. Your head and nose. Following the hands. Little gentle turns. Never force your range. Maybe you can only go here and here. That's okay too. But if you can do a bigger stretch and go round and round and round and round, also good. One more each side. Hands down by your side. We're just going to dip out of the waist and let one hand slide up towards the armpit. Reach down, up, reach down. See, you don't need to get down the gym, have all that expensive lycra, not be feeling comfortable because maybe you're a bit overweight. You can be doing this in the comfort of your own home, just 10 minutes. It's great. We're just stretching side, side, side. One more each side. Lovely. Okay, the next one is all for our hands. Very, very important to keep dexterity in the wrists and in the fingers, particularly as we age. So we're just reaching out as if we're grabbing something, almost like a tiger, and a snatch, 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 snatch. I want to imagine we're having to grab something behind our necks. So behind us, behind. Different angles than what we're used to doing. And both hands to one side. All to one side. And then the other side. Got to balance the body. One side's often easier than the other. Turn the hands up and then clench them. If you're squeezing, checking how ripe an orange is. Squeeze. So imagine the whole hand is squeezing. Squeeze. 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 Now, we're going to use the wrist as if we're going to open jars. So, turn. One of the things that gets weaker as we get older are our wrists. We need to keep them mobile. And the other hand. We don't tend to use the other hand when we're opening jars. Good practice. And now try turning them the other way. If we were going that way, turn them in. Using a different set of muscles again. Can you feel that? Let's stretch out these hands. Stretch the fingers, close. Stretch, close. Stretch, close. Stretch, close. So mobility in the hands, the fingers, and the wrist is so important. Now just tap each finger. So thumb and middle finger. Thumb and the ring finger. And the little pinky. Shake them off. It's amazing. Just a few minutes using hand exercises. They might feel a little cramped up. So our last exercise for today is just going to be shaking. This is a very, very important exercise for releasing tension. And we all get tense and stressed about different things. So we just want to release tension. It's in the myofascia. Now that is the web-like substance underneath the skin and above the muscles. So when we feel stiff, sometimes it's because the myofascia is stiff. So if we shake it all out and we can shake everything, we feel more comfortable. So just shake your leg. Shake, shake, shake. Shake that leg. Shake, 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 shake. Now, nothing wrong with holding the leg and just swinging that knee in and out. Shake that knee. Just in and out. And you're going to hold that knee and wriggle the ankle. It's not a very flexible joint, but heck, we can shake everything, including the ankle just here. Because the whole idea is moving those things we don't normally move. Other leg. Up, shake the leg first. Whole leg. Shake, shake, shake. Shake. Shake, shake. Shake, shake. Hold the leg. Swing that knee in and out. In and out. What about the ankle? Ankle. The ankle swinging. And shoulders. One shoulder up and down. And quicker. So it's a great one just to get out of bed and be like a little puppy. Just shake, 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 shake yourself all over. That's how easy 10 minutes of Active and Healthy with Gina is. It's our session of Ageless Grace for the day. I hope that you enjoyed it. I want you to go, take a little break, grab some water, and we will be right back with you after the break. And welcome back to Active and Healthy with Gina. I hope you enjoyed your exercises today. You've got that body moving, which helps get the brain moving at the same time. I hope that you're ready now to enjoy the second half of the show. And I'm delighted today to cover a very, very important subject. A meaty subject, a subject that many people don't feel comfortable about, because we're going to be talking about dementia. And I have a very special guest with me. She is a life coach, she's an educator. So I'd like to welcome Alice Ashwell to the show today.
Thank you, Gina.
Lovely to have you with us.
Pleasure to be here.
I think for myself and for many people, we hear the word dementia and Alzheimer's and we have an immediate sense of panic. I know that the press, certainly in the US, and I'm not sure how it would be here in South Africa, states that cognitive decline is now the biggest fear for most people as they age. And most of us don't understand what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's. We hear these two terms. So can you just first give us a little bit of understanding about that, and then I want to hear some more about you.
Lovely. In fact, that's a question I always get asked when I do talks on the subject. If you think about an umbrella, then dementia would be that umbrella.
Okay.
And under that umbrella would be a number of causes of dementia. Firstly, what is dementia? It's essentially a loss of our brain function that's often associated with age, but not always. It can be due to other causes. And it will be things like our memory that goes, our ability to do things, and eventually, in the later stages of dementia, also things like our ability to be continent. Incontinence will come in, our ability to eat food on our own, to swallow. All of those things we take for granted start to decline because our brain is actually sick, essentially.
Right.
So dementia is that overall term. Alzheimer's disease is one particular form of dementia. In fact, it's the most widespread. I think it's around 60 to 65% of cases of dementia are Alzheimer's, and they relate to particular protein deposits that you find in the brain latterly. Then there are others. For example, there's dementia with Lewy bodies, which is often associated with hallucinations. People say they're seeing things that those around them can't see.
Okay.
Then there is vascular dementia. So that's when, if you think about the problems that affect our blood vessels and associated issues like strokes or heart disease,
Right.
when the brain's blood vessels get constricted due to arteriosclerosis, that can also start eroding brain capability. So my mum, for example, who lived with dementia for about 15 years that we know of, had a mixture. She started off with vascular dementia. She had many, many strokes. But in addition, towards the end, we realized she also had Alzheimer's disease. And then something that many of us don't think about is other things that affect our general health and also our circulatory health, like, for example, alcoholism or
Right.
drug abuse, or even blows to the head. They can also be associated with mental decline. So I believe there are over 100 different causes
Wow.
of dementia, but those are some
So
of
it's
the
not just
more
one
common
thing
ones.
that
Yeah.
covers it all.
Yeah, so it's a loss of mental capability.
But I think it's great, Alice, for us to have an understanding of who you are. I know you touched on your mum, and that's basically how your journey started. And I was very lucky to be able to attend one of your presentations and talks, because you do a lot of talks and helping educate people about dementia and the journey of what it is to live with somebody.
Yes.
And it was inspiring, and I think it gave me reassurance as somebody who hasn't had to live with anybody who has had dementia, that if I had to travel that journey, it needn't be the terror and the fear that I think a lot of us have from the expectations when we hear the word dementia or Alzheimer's. And I think for the purpose of the show, as you say, let's stick with that umbrella term of dementia.
Yes, yes.
And that you had to go through it on a very personal level. So before your mum was diagnosed, what was your own sense and feeling about dementia and Alzheimer's?
I'd never thought about it.
Okay.
And in fact, for quite a long time, even when we found out about Mum's dementia, I didn't want to know about it. You know, I think many of us do that when bad news comes to us.
Denial
We deny it, yeah. We think if I ignore this long enough, it will go away. Well, it doesn't. So that wasn't a very clever strategy.
How long was that period for you, that denial
I would say probably about 5 years.
Okay, so quite a while.
Maybe not the denial so much as the specifically not wanting to know about this, wanting to keep it at arm's length. So admitting it was happening, but actually feeling I don't want to go there. So a big no.
Was there any sense of embarrassment and not wanting to talk about it because it was something in your life that you didn't want to face at all, or what were the aspects for you of?
Yeah, that was
ignoring it.
Part of it. You know, I think dementia has an enormous stigma attached to it in society, as many mental conditions do. We've become better at dealing with physical impairments.
Yes.
So, for example, cancer or strokes or heart disease. Those things are not quite as stigmatized as, you know, cancer used to be maybe 30 years ago. But dementia and other mental conditions still carry a large stigma. So, yes, I suppose that was part of it. But I think it was mainly fear-based. You know, the fear of not knowing what was happening to Mum, the fear of what would happen if this happened to me. So when we fear things, one of our strategies is to run away. And I think I was in that mode for quite a long time, possibly about 5 years or so, before I started to do what we really should do early on, and let's face it.
Okay, and was there anything specific that led to that shift?
Very much so, very much so. I think a couple of things. I think one was a self-realization that because dementia can be quite scary, and not only scary but irritating, very irritating, when your elder or your partner starts repeating themselves umpteen times a day, starts asking the same question constantly. I don't have great patience. I am not by nature a very patient person. So for me, the irritation of having to go through that stage of the dementia, maybe I think I started realizing that I wasn't as nice a person as I thought I was. So part of it was that self-awareness that I'm not doing very well emotionally and I need to start dealing with my own reactions. That was a part. And then a second part of it was I did start getting more curious and I was looking for information. And I found a very, very useful book which was called Contented Dementia, which I thought was a contradiction in terms. It didn't sound right at all.
Do you remember who the author is? Because it's always great to be able to give our viewers, and we'll be able to put it on the website and have the details later.
Yeah, Oliver James.
Oliver James, Contented Dementia. All right, sounds interesting.
And I picked up there about 3 things that I was doing badly, that I shouldn't be doing, and I should be doing differently.
Right.
So the first piece of advice was, don't ask questions they can't answer. So now what I know is that dementia first attacks your short-term memory, a part in the brain which translates what's just happened into memory. That's where it first starts to go. So if I went to visit my mum, as I did overnight once a week, and I asked her, "Mum, how was your week?" That was probably the worst thing I could have asked her, because her short-term memory was not capturing those memories. And what it would do for her, it would say, I'm losing it. I'm stupid. She's getting irritated because I can't remember the fact that so-and-so came to visit or I went to see whatever.
That must have been upsetting for her.
So that was upsetting. And, you know, if I'm asked a question I can't answer, the emotions that go through me are things like embarrassment, shame, feeling stupid. That's how she was feeling every time I asked her a question she couldn't answer. So that was number one. Number two was stop trying to correct her. Because also, when a person gets dementia, they become very confused. They lose things like an understanding of time. So they might start talking about things 50 years ago as if they'd happened that morning. Something my mum used to speak about in her late stage dementia, when she still could speak, because she lost that too. She used to talk about climbing the copper beech tree at the bottom of the garden. Now, I know that that tree was in the bottom of the garden that she lived in between the ages of 7 and 17 in England. And yes, when she was probably 10 years old, she would have climbed that tree. But when she was 86, she wasn't climbing any trees. So if I went in and she told me a story from her long-term memory, and I said, oh, Mum, for goodness sake, how could you possibly have been climbing a tree? You're 86. She would have been so deflated. You know, there she was enjoying something so thoroughly, a memory from childhood, and there was I saying, no, you couldn't have been doing that. So I learnt instead, when there was that confusion about time or place or person, instead of saying no, Mum, to say, oh, Mum, how wonderful. How did that feel?
Such a shift, but so important.
So important, because suddenly you can get into the positive emotions, the enjoyment, the happy memories. And what does it cost us? Why does everything have to be true? Because when we were children, some of the things that we enjoyed most were fantasy stories.
Yes.
Why is that no longer possible when we become adults or elders? And then the third thing that I learnt was to focus on what she loves and can do rather than on what she can no longer do. Because that tends to be the biggest thing for us. We notice what the person is unable to do that they used to be able to do. So, for example, making a cup of tea. We can do that without thinking.
Yes.
But if you think of the sequence of actions, finding the milk in the fridge and putting it back in the fridge instead of in the oven, for example.
Yes.
We do that without thinking, but a person with dementia can't remember the milk lives in the fridge. They'll put it anywhere. Well, they've put it away, they've tidied the kitchen, but you might find it in the cupboard and you might find the dirty cup in the fridge.
Right.
So instead of focusing on those things, focus on what they love to do and what they can do. And one of those was music.
Fantastic. Well, listen, there is still so much more, Alice, for us to touch on. So I think what would be great, just to wrap up on those 3 points for people, because I think for people who are at home, who are living and maybe taking care of loved ones who have dementia and don't know and are not in that same space of awareness that you were. So those 3 tips, again, are really, really helpful ones.
Yes.
So not to correct them.
Yes. Not to ask them questions.
Not to ask them questions
answer.
that they can't answer, and to do the things that they used to do and love and focus on those.
And that they still have the capability for.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, listen, this is going to be a wonderful link on for us to move on into
Fabulous.
Next week's episode. So, Alice, thank you very much for joining us today.
Such a pleasure.
There we are, some fantastic tips. If you are with loved ones, concerned about how to be relating with them with dementia, I think Alice has given us some 3 great pointers, and there's obviously so much more still to share, so she's going to stay with me. We're going to be able to have part 2 in next week's show. So thank you for joining me for Active and Healthy with Gina, and I'll see you next week. You may not know that Ageless Grace needs more educators. So if you would like to do what I do, teach these wonderful classes to your own family and friends, or to groups in retirement villages and healthcare centres, then become a certified educator. It is a 2-day course. It's happening 28th and 29th of October in Cape Town and the 4th, 5th of November in Johannesburg. AgelessGraceWithGina.com. You'll find all the details. Come and teach this program.